Mm-hmm. And yep, hi everybody. I'm Cool Blue. I'm slightly distracted, but I'm still here. Don't worry. I'm paying attention now. We're jumping to this game. Irresistible Stallions versus Planet. Who won the last game?
Irresistible Stallions did.
Ooh. And they had an anti-base, didn't they?
They had an AM. They also banned both games. They're banning out the IO with their first ban. So I don't know. I had mentioned it in the last match. They were talking in the lobby before the game had started, and they were saying that they had played against each other in the playoffs of season number 8 for jDL. And so I don't know if that is coming from there. Otherwise, I mean, really the only time you see Wisp too much, either Liquid's playing it or Na'Vi played it today up against, who were they playing? Not Vega. Were they playing against Vega? Empire. So they were playing, I think Seneko was playing it. They absolutely crushed with it, but at the same time, it's usually, if you have a Wisp player, you ban it out, but if you don't, it's kind of ignored for the most part. But they are going to ban out the Enchantress as well as the Death Prophet and the Invoker for the side of Planet Hype, and that's going to be 2 matches in a row that Irresistible Stallions gets a pretty strong mid because of the bans coming out from themselves and Planet Hype.
And just a quick thing to mention on the Enchantress ban. I've seen a few teams ban out the Enchantress first pick. I do think she's somebody to worry about, but I don't know if she's first ban worthy because I think Enchantress has she hasn't proven to me yet that she can carry by herself. But if you can build her with a different team, then if you can build with the right team, then yes, she can definitely carry her tail off. But anyway, I just want to say that on the Enchantress ban, I'm not a huge fan of the Enchantress ban first 2 bans. I'm just throwing it out there.
The reason I don't like it is for the exact reason that we're seeing now, is that I think Enchantress is pretty strong in the off lane at the moment. Untouchable is pretty good. She does well as a later pick if you're going to be throwing her in the off lane and you know that she's going to be going up against people with right clicks as opposed to magical burst damage. But I feel like Faceless Void has been basically the flavor of this patch as far as offlaners concerned in the professional and amateur scene for tournaments. But banning out that Enchantress just leaves you wide open to the Faceless Void, and I don't think that Enchantress is just commonly picked up that early. And here's a hero that is definitely not picked up that early, and it's the Pugna. And this is my least favorite hero in all of Dota.
Whoa. First and foremost, Pugna is an awesome hero. That said, there are better heroes that do what he can do better. So, all of a sudden, the Pugna as a hero, I like him. I like the idea. Faceless Void plus Pugna is going to be a nice wombo combo, so to speak. But at the very least, I don't know if they're going to be playing core Pugna or support. I really hope it's core Pugna. I'll be very excited for that.
I feel like he's pretty bad unless you're running him as a 1 position or a mid lane hero, and he's not going to go up against an OD. So I would imagine this is going to be a safe lane 1 position Pugna. He does pretty well as a solo, on a 1v1 situation in a safe lane, so they could even potentially run an aggro try, but with the Faceless Void, I don't think that's what they're going to do. So the reason I don't like Pugna, though, I just think that Nether Ward is completely counterintuitive to what Ice Frog has been pushing as far as how this game is supposed to be moving along since 6.82, where it's just don't team fight. If there's another ward up, don't team fight. We're going to take a crap ton of damage.
See. That's one. I mean, sure, you can say it that way, but I'm definitely the volition that if you can do something to make the whole entire meta uncomfortable, then you're doing it right. So, just want to throw it out there. Statistically speaking, one of the best counter picks versus OD is still Pugna.
Yep.
So,
Silencer's
up
and
there.
Nyx Assassin.
Yeah, Nyx Assassin, Silencer, and Pugna. Those are his top 3. Death Prophet is actually number 4. But statistically speaking, with win percentages, Pugna 46% wins versus the OD, which is not the biggest thing in the world, but that's the highest he has.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit. I mean, Pugna's not in the meta. Sure, he breaks the meta, whatever. But it's a good idea because Netherward is going to wreck OD in these team fights if he doesn't have a BKB.
Yeah, you're terrified as an Outworld Devourer until you have that BKB, and it's kind of surprising. I mean, regardless of my feelings on the hero, I'm actually really surprised that he's not being picked up more often with how often OD has been getting grabbed by teams. So I do like this move from the side of Planet Hype. It is a kind of a reactionary pick. He does synergize well with Faceless Void, as you were talking about. He's going to be able to sit on the outskirts of Chronosphere and get the life drain out, as well as Nether Blast, just basically encompassing the entire radius of a Chronosphere, too. Is also going to be a pretty big asset for them. But it does kind of leave them open as far as they're going to have some kind of reliable lockdown from the rest of their support heroes. Otherwise, their lineup is going to struggle somewhat. And it's going to make it even more difficult for the Faceless Void to get his initiations off, and they're not going to be grabbing it with their first support hero, as they do decide to go with the Dazzle as their 3rd pick.
And also another thing to point out too, Irresistible Stallion, or sorry, Planet Hype banning out the Omni Knight tells me that they are going to be playing Pugna as a core, so that's going to be really nice to see. Or at the very least, they're going to make sure that OD won't have that comfort. I've seen a few extra games with the Omni Knight pick as an offlaner, and it's somebody explained it really well, basically saying that Omni Knight's really just there to get the levels. He trades farm for levels. He just needs levels. So if you can get on the levels, then Omni Knight's a really, really big deal. And if you can get OD plus Omni Knight, I mean, just basically same idea as a Tiny Wisp, where they're just kind of hanging out like bros, and Omni Knight just repel them every once in a while.
Right.
So having an Omni Knight banned out is very smart, and Anti-Mage getting banned out too. It's a surprising pick, but Anti-Mage wrecks Pugna pretty hard, so...
Yeah, I mean, really, whenever you're working with certain heroes that have just huge mana pools, we saw it during that last match. Anti-Mage just shows up for one team fight, and all he had to do was drop Mana Void on Zeus, and it just wrecked everyone within the vicinity of him. And Pugna almost more so than Zeus is going to have a larger mana pool, and that's going to be pretty terrifying. So definitely a good ban from them coming out with the Anti-Mage. The Witch Doctor and the Lone Druid being banned out from the side of Irresistible Stallions, and this is a great pickup for the side of Irresistible Stallions. That third pick, Ancient Apparition, there's three different heroes that rely on their abilities to either heal or heal their allies. Dazzle's not going to be able to Healing Wave, Pugna's not going to be able to Life Drain, and Faceless Void can't rewind the damage that he takes from Time Walk on top of it too.
Yep, and I also just want to say, on paper, it seems like a really good idea, but I seriously doubt Ancient Apparition will be hitting level 6 until like the 15-minute mark. And if they have something to help them get the early advantage, that they can do really well. And Bounty Hunter is going to be working perfect for them.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them too well in game number 1. I had talked about how there's like that battle in the mid lane with sentry wards to try to make sure that the bounty hunter isn't allowed to stick around, and the invoker never even used his sentry ward to deal with the bounty hunter, so he was like perfectly fine without it. I think Outworld Devour might have it is a little bit of a different story than an invoker because he doesn't have nearly as many offensive capabilities outside of Arcane Orb. And one of the things, I mean, we talked about Pugna being the core one-roll position. He can very easily go in the mid lane too. His auto attack range is fairly significant. He can still spam out the creep wave with Nether Blast and try to obtain some kind of rune control. It's going to be he's not going to be able to get like up in the face of the Outward Devour and risk being hit with too many arcane orbs, but he can still get some farm as well as levels over there. And if he doesn't get rotated on by the Vengeful Spirit and Ancient Apparition, then if he gets left alone, he can take down towers incredibly quickly too. On top of it.
Right. And one of the cool things too about Planet Hype's lineup so far is that they do still technically have the flexibility to drop Pugna down to a support role. I do not advise against it heavily right now because they pick up the Bounty Hunter, but if they did want to drop Pugna as a support, then they can basically leverage the fact that Irresistible Stallions got something super aggressive to kill mid, and maybe go for more sustainable mid, something like a Templar Assassin. But the fact that we have the support duo of Vengeful Spirit plus Ancient Apparition on the Irresistible Stallion side tells me that they're not really going to have a killing combo, so to speak, support-wise. So we're probably going to see Vengeful Spirit spend a ton of time mid, and if we see her spend a ton of time mid, that means whoever that carry is should have a little bit better of time getting farmed, because I'm still expecting an aggressive tri-lane.
Yeah, and this is looking like it's going to be a solo Earthshaker too, as Irresistible Stallions decided to pick that up with their 4th pick. And so it is starting to look like it is going to be that solo offlane Earthshaker, and I think that with the Romy Bounty Hunter, it's... The Earthshaker should still be able to stay within EXP range up against a Pugna and a Dazzle. He's not going to be able to get within farming range for the most part outside of spamming out Fissure, but at the same time, he still should be able to obtain levels. As long as he gets himself a Soul Ring and Tranquil Boots, he'll be able to start grouping up with his teammates and start fighting. And once Ancient Apparition hits level 6, Irresistible Stallions is going to be able to ramp up the aggression level pretty significantly. And the pushing prowess of Planet Hype just really is not present so far outside of that Pugna. They're going to need something as their mid lane hero that is going to be capable of pushing fairly efficiently, and they already have they banned Death Prophet out themselves, so there's one hero that does really well in that facet. I guess Templar Assassin is still available, and she could try to go for a Desolator early on to try to help with pushing out the towers, but they ban out the TA themselves. So.
Yeah, this is mid Pugna. Pugna's biggest issue, and I keep harping on Pugna because I really love to play Pugna. I like playing Pugna, even though I was horrible at it. But playing mid Pugna in general, he has very, 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 very low armor. He has a lot of movement speed, so I think he should do fine versus OD. I think I just need to pick a very sustainable carry, like something like a Juggernaut, somebody who can get online a little bit faster to help them push, and they'll definitely have a really good lineup.
Yeah, so as you said, with the ban out of that the TA, this is just kidding.
Shadow Fiend works.
Yeah, So they do have a decent minus armor strat going to some extent. You're going to have the weave from Dazzle, and obviously the presence of the Dark Lord coming out from the Shadow Fiend. I assume one of them will eventually pick up an Assault Curse as well to try to stack that on top of it too. But is this... I mean, Shadow Fiend, as much of a mid-hero as he is, he's also perfectly capable of going over into the safe lane. Granted, he's probably a little bit more level-dependent than Pugna. Like, he needs levels in Shadow Rays in order to spam out the creep wave, and he really enjoys having his bottle and having rune control. So it is starting to look like it is going to be a... It might be another 2-2-1 coming out from Planet Height by having the Bounty Hunter in the mid lane up against that OD in conjunction with the Pugna.
Ooh,
and we're going to see a Zeus pick up.
Interesting.
So this is going to be a safe lane outward Devourer, it looks like. So it'll be mid Zeus, off lane Earthshaker, and a tri lane with OD, VS, and Ancient Apparition. And they most likely will keep VS, though, in the mid lane to try to help out Zeus, depending on what the Bounty Hunter ends up doing.
And just taking a look into a few stats, I'm trying to see how Zeus stacks up versus Pugna, and statistically speaking, I can't find him yet, so I'm gonna keep searching. But I was gonna say that Zeus versus Pugna should still lose in favor of Pugna, but that's all on paper. In actual practice, Zeus can still blow Pugna up. So
yeah, that's pretty scary. Until Pugna has some farm up and he gets like a bracer and potentially into drums and then picks up an Agnum Scepter, it's gonna be pretty difficult for him to sustain throughout the burst damage that Stallions is going to be taking on into the early and mid games. And it looks like we are having a little bit of a connection issue for the side of Planet Hype as, who was it, Uchi ends up disconnecting again, but looks like they're going to need a few seconds in order to do this. So we'll go ahead and break down the lineups before this game ends up going off, and it looks like Ace over for the side of Irresistible Stallions on the Dire side is going to be playing that offlane Earthshaker. Party Bear on the support Ancient Apparition. Outward Devourer is going to be played by Ice9, while GBPS is going to be playing that mid lane Zeus, and Faith is probably going to be backing him up in that mid lane on the support Vengeful Spirit.
And on the other side of the river, on that Bounty Hunter, we have ourselves the one and only PH Brian. That's right. That's
Brian.
right. PH stands for phosphorus, which is what Pugna's made of. Speaking of which, we got Dragon Rake playing that Pugna on that Faceless Void. We have Travelin playing Faceless, and Atlas Bass Pro Shop. Wow, words are hard. Playing that, and last but not least, on this last mystery hero, which, if I'm not mistaken, is a support. No, it's a support. I forget. Dazzle.
Yeah.
Uchi is playing the Dazzle.
If Uchi can ever get back into the game. He was the one who was having difficulties downloading the patch, so we'll see. I guess it's causing havocs for his computer right now, so it looks like he's going to have to either restart his computer or reconnect to Steam in some facet, but...
Yeah.
So we're starting to talk about what the laning phase is going to look like. Do you think that it is... I'm pretty sure that GBPS is the mid lane player from last match. He was the one playing the Invoker, I believe. So it is looking like it is going to end up being a mid lane Zeus.
Yeah,
but do you
having OD in the off lane and having having OD in the safe lane, having Zeus in the mid with Pugna in his respective off lane, that'll work out regardless. Or Shadow Fiend in the safe lane, that'll work out too.
Yeah, the one benefit of having the Pugna in the safe lane though is that they have the potential to push down towers a little bit more quickly, especially if they do end up running a solo off lane Earthshaker for Irresistible Stallions. He's not going to be able to really contest them too effectively outside of that fissure spam, and if they can keep him Brian. But if they can keep him from spamming out the creep wave with fissure and getting enough farm to get the soul ring up, then he's going to have a really difficult time contesting this, and they're going to have to start rotating out the Ancient Apparition as well as the Vengeful Spirit, which will free up a decent amount of space for that Faceless Void in the off lane.
And just lineups in general. I mean, if you want to talk about team synergy, I think the synergy coming out from PH is a little bit stronger, very slight bit stronger, but still, everybody on the Stallion side can still blow up everybody on the side of PH. So it's, I mean, we could talk synergy all day, but if you get blown up, you get blown up. So
yeah, I mean, they had such a good start with their first two picks with the Faceless Void and the Pugna that like their team fight was looking really strong, but they kind of fell off with their picks as far as how their synergy was supposed to work in the in these team fight engagements. Like Bounty Hunter, obviously not really known for his team fighting prowess. With the reworking of track in 6.84, it helps him being a little bit more effective. But he's got to get. It's going to take time for him to get those tracks off in order to make sure that he gets the maximum amount of shuriken bounces. But the team fight from the side of Irresistible Stallions is pretty nuts. You're going to have the Zeus ultimate as well as the Sanity's Eclipse. Earthshaker's going to be able to fissure into Echo Slam before he gets his Blink Dagger, and then they even have the defensive capabilities. I mean, Fissure not only is a great offensive ability, but it's also one of the best defensive abilities in the game. Just being able to completely cut off pathing for everyone on the side of Planet Hype outside of that Faceless Void. And then they still have the defensive prowess of the Vengeful Spirit with the Nether Swap on top of it too, so...
Yep, and lineup-wise, statistically speaking, and this is all I ran through the stats on Dota Picker. So if you guys want to go check it out yourself. Statistically speaking, according to the numbers, Ancient Apparition does really well in his lineup, like just helping his team out a ton. He wins 4 out of 5 matchups. He pretty much wins versus everybody except for Bounty Hunter. You know, let's take that with a grain of salt. And Pugna wins versus everybody with the exception of Ancient Apparition. So they both have their, you know, their kilowatts, they're killer players. But the most interesting thing is that OD doesn't really have as much advantage as I thought he did versus the whole entire team as a whole. He does well versus Dazzle, he does well versus Faceless, but versus Pugna, Shadow Fiend, and Bounty, he does not as good because he can get blown up / countered. Yeah. And on the flip side, Shadow Fiend doesn't do well. Doesn't do well versus Ancient Apparition and Zeus respectively. So he's gonna struggle versus those two. So it's like surprisingly balanced.
I mean, that's going to be a huge aspect of these fights, though, is what you were talking about with the Outworld Devourer, is that whenever Dazzle ends up shallow graving someone, it's almost this pretty similar duration to Astral Imprisonment. I think there's only like 1 second that's not overlapping. So anyone that he shallow graves is going to be stuck like in the same exact position as long as the OD isn't forced to use it defensively.
Correct. And I mean, I don't know what to say outside of. I just want Team Pugna to win. Let's go ahead and throw my bias out there because it's freaking Pugna. Since when have you seen a Pugna game? All right. Okay, let me relax. Let me calm down. Fanboys aside. Fanboyism aside.
You took that medication that we were talking about earlier.
The lineup for Stallion definitely fits more into the meta. The lineup for PH is a little bit more outside of the box, so I'm really interested to see how well it works. But statistically speaking, their lineup should do okay versus the lineup that they're facing against. And this is all statistics according to Dota Picker. Take that with a grain of salt. So
you can't argue science, man.
Nope. But of course, there's a negative 13% synergy, and I'm trying to figure out what the heck these numbers are supposed to mean. But I'm still learning the numbers. But there's a lot more counterpick. There's a lot more counterpick on the side of Stallion, surprisingly.
Ooh, we're seeing some salt getting thrown around here now too.
Correct.
Ace has been pretty vocal throughout both of these games, but
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so it looks like he's still having difficulty reconnecting, and the admin has said that they're not going to remake unless he is incapable of reconnecting. If it comes down to just him having a shoddy internet connection, then you know it's looking like Planet Hype might be in a little bit of a difficult spot. I don't think they're going to want to play this one out 4v5. But when did they? Because last time I checked, it was bug. When did they update the Aegis of Immortal inside the well to say Evil Geniuses had won?
I don't know. I didn't know it was a bug. I never paid attention to that at all, ever. So I wouldn't know. But
oh, look at that, Bass Pro Shops giving us a shout out. Thanks, Bass Pro Shops.
Yay! Go Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah. Now we're rooting for Team Planet Hype. I'm getting on the hype train, man.
I've already told you I'm fanboying out for Pugna, so I mean I'm like there already. But like I said, on a professional line of casting, Stallion had the more standard lineup. We've seen that. We're familiar with it. It's comfortable. PH, their execution base. If Faceless Void lands a Chrono and it catches Pugna, then their team fight's wrecked. If Faceless Void lands a Chrono and Pugna's on the outside of it, he can drop a few Nether Blast, and they might actually win that fight.
Yeah, and then I mean another way to look at it too. On top of it is that after after the Chronosphere wears off, I mean, obviously Irresistible Stallions. I keep wanting to call them Italian Stallions. Looks like we're going to be having a remake. So there's going to be a remake, guys. We'll go ahead and continue to talk about since it's going to be the same lineups, but looks like we're going to have to get out of this one. And we're not technically allowed to show the lobby chat, so no. I'm going to have to put an overlay up momentarily. But whenever the Chronosphere does end up wearing out, then everyone from the side of Irresistible Stallions is going to be wanting to pop their abilities to make sure that they can, either regen back up or get a better positioning advantage. And they're going to be eating a ton of damage from that Nether Ward, too. So not only are they going to have, as you were talking about, with the burst potential from the Pugna if he's not caught inside the Chronosphere, but even after the Chronosphere, that Nether Ward, is until that OD gets BKB, is going to be doing a ton of work for them.
Yeah. And like, I mean, BKB is going to counter a lot of what they have on the side of the Radiant, so it's going to suck. But outside of that, yeah, this is... I'm just going to be excited to see how this turns out, because like, it's like a really good idea. Like I think it's a really good idea to break the meta, but
yeah,
some people might disagree with me.
I mean, just based on game number 1, I think that Planet Hype probably needs to, as you're talking about, like, do something outside of the box in order to try to overcome Irresistible Stallions. And the Pugna pick might be exactly what that is. They'd managed to get that counter pick up against the first pick OD. So I think that is going to give them a slight advantage. I just think that they are super committed to this Bounty Hunter pick. And whenever we were watching in game number 1 and you have a level 4 Bounty Hunter at like the 8 to 10 minute mark, it's just really, really a recipe for disaster.
See, and the thing about Bounty Hunter is, like, if you can get Bounty Hunter level 6 before the 10-minute, or at the 10-minute mark or before the 10-minute mark, you're good, you're okay. That's why a lot of teams used to like to put him in the off lane.
Get in the lobby, by the way.
Oh, I can't find the lobby.
You can't find it?
Is it jDL WAT?
It's jDL #9.
Oh god, they changed the name. Oh no, they changed the name! Oh no, scramble the jets! I see it.
Alright, cool. I believe we're just waiting on you right now.
No! Don't say that!
Now you're the one keeping everyone held up. There you go. You're in there like swimwear.
And that's not a good thing, by the way. That's actually kind of awkward.
What, swimwear? Swimwear is very real. Okay, yeah, we are ready. Yeah, so we're gonna have to load into this. Did they set it to all pick? Yes, they did. Okay, cool.
Right, and I'm trying to like put all the team players on one side, and according to Dota Counter Picker, which the Dota Counter Picker that I'm using basically takes all the stats from Dota Buff. It takes all the stats from Dota Buff, considering who has what win, who has what loss versus what hero, and it takes all those numbers, crunches them together, puts them together, and like spits out like who the heroes who are statistically doing good. And according to the whole entire lineup with Dazzle, Pugna, Faces Void, Bounty Hunter, and Shadow Fiend, allegedly Arc Warden does really well versus them, and allegedly Omni Knight does. Or I might be reading that backwards. It says advantages. If you want an advantage versus a team, the best pick is Arc Warden, and Meepo, Wisp, Tinker, Oracle, so on and so forth. And the worst picks to go against them. So I guess the things that you don't want your team to pick are Omni Knight, Necrophos, and Spectre, which makes sense because if you consider those 3 things, they can basically blow up Pugna pretty easily. Omni Knight can provide a lot of magic resist, which is going to make Pugna have not a good time. And yeah, it seems like this is a fairly accurate. So among the listing of things that are relevant to the other team picks, Zeus is up there. He's like number 10 on the list. So Zeus's notion to do okay versus the lineup, statistically speaking, and yeah.
Were you saying that Meepo does well against Planet Hype's lineup or Irresistible Stallions?
He does well versus Planet Hype's lineup, which makes sense because they have a lot of magical bursts, or at least from Pugna and Shadow Fiend, they have a lot of magical bursts, and Meepo can just kind of get in there and say, shrug it off and poof you to death.
Yeah, I would just think that with Chronosphere, that Meepo would be like in a really tough spot, just because you can't say if one Meepo gets caught out, then he's not poofing out of there or anything. You do have the control with Net though, I guess, so the ensnare will be good enough to keep that Faceless Void locked down inside Chronosphere. But if the other Meepos aren't available to poof, if they're poofing in onto the Meepo caught in the Chronosphere, they're gonna get caught in the Chronosphere. So that's surprising to me, but I don't know Dota as well as these mathematicians who are making these things. So. So it does look like...
Yeah, statistics don't matter. Dota's all about the mechanics. If you can't mechanically get the game, the statistics don't matter. Yeah, no. Statistics do matter. Like I said, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I'm still getting used to reading these stats from this page. But it's a really interesting thing to bring up, that Zeus is positioned to do okay versus the lineup, whereas you have somebody like I'm trying to think who's on the lineup right now. Invoker's not in the game? No, he's not.
No, he's banned out.
Hold on. Where's Ancient Apparition lie in this game? Ancient Apparition's posed to do okay versus the lineup as well. Like, statistically speaking, he's not in the red or in the green. Uh, mm, yeah, I will assess this. I'll let you go ahead and do introductions again.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do the introduction since it's been about 3 years since we first loaded into the match before it had to be remade. So, over for the Radiant side, we are going to have Planet Hype. It does look like 1314 is going to be playing that Dazzle. Dragony Rake is going to be playing the Pugna. Tabularin is going to be on the Faceless Void. Bass Pro Shop, our #1 fan, is going to be playing Shadow Fiend. And Brian, the Life of Brian, over on the Bounty Hunter. And
that pause.
My heart just sank so incredibly hard when the Earthshaker disconnected. I still have one of my overlays up. All right, thank God I checked my OBS. We could have had Dota Talk Radio again. Yeah. So either way, you can go ahead since you're done looking up stats. You can go ahead and do Irresistible Stallions.
I'm still looking up stats. Sorry.
Okay, never mind. For the side of Irresistible Stallions, we are going to have Ace playing over on the disconnected Earthshaker. Oh man, God, just kill me.
No, do. It's okay. It's okay. Just go with the flow. Just go. Breathe. Just breathe. We're doing good. We're doing our job. We're casting what comes to us. We're good. We got this.
I'm just kidding. I'm enjoying our little conversation.
He's not kidding. He's hating it all.
I actually don't even like Dota. I'm a secret League of Legends fanboy, even though I've never even played a single game of League.
I quit.
Yeah, everyone get out of here. But yeah, it doesn't bother me that we're doing this. It's just I want to give the people what they want. They came to watch Dota, not listen to Cool Blue and Yum and Dota talk out of our butts about stats. But it does look like Ace is going to be playing that Earthshaker, who has reconnected to the game. GBPS over on that mid lane. Zeus, Ice 9 on the Outworld Devour, Party Bear on an Ancient Apparition. Looks like Faith is going to be rounding up that lineup on the support Vengeful Spirit. Look at this love. You good, fam? They're just, they love each other. They don't care that everyone was lagging a little bit before and couldn't download the patch.
It's all love. It's all love. And Pugna down at the bottom, boots first. That means he's definitely going to be, boots first. You can actually do offlane with Pugna. It's not recommended, but
yeah, I guess Decrepify is kind of like a way to save yourself from potential rotations. But
no, it's way less about that. More about the fact that he moves at freaking 375 movement speed.
No,
with boots.
Jeez Louise, what is his base movement speed?
His base movement speed is 335, if I'm not mistaken?
No, that can't be possible. 335? That's unheard of.
He is basically 330. I think he and Luna are tied for the fastest.
Jeez, I did not know that they had buffed his movement speed like that.
But no, it's always been like that. That's been his only redeeming factor. His armor is shit. Like his armor is literally crap.
What does he roll in with 0? Oh, he has 1 armor. He's actually Doom. But it does look like in this mid lane they are going to be running the 2-2-1 strategy here again, with that Bounty Hunter just kind of camping around, trying to make some havoc for the Zeus in that mid lane and trying to help out that Shadow Fiend. But the Vengeful Spirit is going to be there in order to back up this Zeus. And this does leave a Faceless Void solo in the off lane. He's got that like $15 cosmetic hammer as well. But he's going to be going up against the Outworld Devour and the Ancient Apparition, so they're not really going to be able to lock this Faceless Void down whatsoever. So he still will be able to time walk away from a lot of the damage that he ends up incurring, but it is keeping the solo offlane Earthshaker to go up against the Pugna as well as the Dazzle, which is definitely going to spell a couple disasters. But they are initiating on the Bounty Hunter in the middle lane. They do have one more sentry, or they have no more sentry wards actually. He's going to be able to walk away despite the magic missile coming out from the VS.
So things were happening in the middle, of course, but top lane, I just want to go ahead and point this out before it happened, so Cool Blue can say he called it. All things considered, OD, he did go for an early point inside of Astral Imprisonment instead of going for his Arcane Orb plus his Essence Aura. So that means if Faceless Void gets too complacent, they can actually dish out quite a bit of damage. Like if we get ourselves a nice little Chilling Touch plus 2 or 3 right clicks, Faceless Void will be like, okay, I can tank that, and then Astral comes out before he can time walk, and he's suddenly down a lot of HP.
Yeah, that's a great point. The OD is definitely going to cause a lot of problems for this Faceless Void, as long as he doesn't be able to get that maneuverability off. And here we're going to see the defensive capabilities of this Earthshaker. Could have potentially been in trouble after eating a Poison Touch from Dazzle, but able to get a very nice Fissure block off, so the Dazzle would have had to walk way too far away in order to get any more right clicks off on him.
Meanwhile, top lane, nope, nothing bad happening. Middle lane, nothing exciting. Just Bounty and Shadow Fiend being best of bros, hanging out together, doing what they can, because they must.
Yeah, Zeus is gonna quickly start to fall behind the Shadow Fiend though. He's up to 7 and 5, so he's got 12 souls built up, and he's hitting for over 70 damage now, 80 now that he's got his 13th soul. So I mean, this Zeus is gonna have a hard time being able to keep him from being able to get the denies as well as the last hits off. He does still have to worry about that Vengeful Spirit sticking around for too long, but it was like an Earthshaker picked up the invisibility rune down at the bottom rune spot, and now he's just sitting inside the tree lines, picking up as much experience as he can. And as we can see, he just has to play incredibly defensive down here, and he is going to be going for that Soul Ring and Tranquil Boots build in order to make sure that he doesn't end up, he has some kind of impact when we move over into the mid game.
Yep. And it's very interesting to see that he actually dropped himself a nice little fissure before he walked away. Some people might think, oh, it's very inefficient, but at the end of the day, if Pugna catches a 1 Decrepify, Earthshaker's dead. Speaking of being dead, Faceless Void taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's over inside the jungle, actually. He's given up on the lane at the moment. I don't know, is he going to live against this one? I don't want to miss First Blood anywhere, but he's getting manned up on by the Hellbear. Not even the Red Tomato one, is just the casual Hellbear smasher, and he has to salve back up and return to the lane. So he does manage to get 1 CS, though, out of that. So that's going to be pretty big for him, and he's up to level 4 at the moment. And the Earthshaker not at level 4 himself, so Faceless Void is at least getting experience over inside that off lane for the Radiant.
Oh my gosh, I just realized I'm monitoring the wrong chat. My bad. I have 3 different live streams out, leave me alone.
You stop watching people's interviews while you're casting Dota.
No, I could have sworn to switch back over to yours. Anyway, but yeah, move back into the actual game though. One other dynamic to talk about too is that Bounty Hunter, he's actually doing okay as far as getting his levels. I've seen a ton of games where Bounty Hunter sits at level 1 for like the first 10 minutes. It's ridiculous. But anyway, hold on. He's actually going toe to toe with Vengeful Spirit. She can actually get the kill she wants, but looks like they try to turn it on her. She will be going down.
Oh,
poison damage or not, she actually goes down to the Orb of Venom.
The Orb of Venom tick, was that like 2 damage or something like that it does?
After Mass Resist, 3 damage. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty insane that they got that. And this Pugna is just getting so aggressive up against the Earthshaker. Takes him down to under 200 HP, sitting around 106 mark. He's going to have to pop his last set of any kind of HP regen that he has, and he's going to definitely need to pick up those Tranquil Boots. And I don't know if it would have been better off going for the Tranquil Boots first as opposed for the Soul Ring, but he's going to have a hard time sustaining this lane now that the Pugna's level 5, and he's going to have a life drain coming up pretty shortly as well.
Yeah, for Earthshaker, he's trying to be as efficient as he possibly can be. If he gets himself a Soul Ring, that's going to be at least 1 stun every single fight. So if he can just guarantee that he has 1 fissure every single fight, or at least he can do this that you see him doing here with the wall block, then he can at least make it to where he can get some farm and continue to get some gold, and Pugna doesn't really run over him, because if he crosses this line at this point, he's pretty much dead.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him. And what was I going to say? The OD actually ends up picking up a quarterstaff. So is this a first item Dragonlance coming out from this Hour Devour?
That makes sense. I mean, Pugna can blow him up. Like, OD's going to struggle versus Pugna's Plague Ward. So it makes sense for him to just go for some more sustainability, so he can actually, right-click without fear for maybe like 2 or 3 right-clicks and then kind of chill out.
Yeah, it's been a pretty passive game so far, outside of that 1 kill that they got on the Vengeful Spirit down in the bottom rune. But this Bounty Hunter is looking to make more things happen up inside the top lane as he's trying to get as much right-click damage as he can over on the Ancient Apparition. And I'm not really sure exactly what the objective was, that as the Faceless Void has already dropped back to that hard camp by the Secret Shop, and he finally cleans up that Hellbear, but he doesn't have any more HP regen.
Ooh, hold on, Shadow Fiend in the middle, or Shadow Fiend towards the rune. He actually eats himself a nice... Eats himself a nice fairy fire, but he does get himself a haste rune. We'll be able to run away. Zeus thought he got both those abilities off, but sadly he didn't. Meanwhile, Bounty Hunter does that up top. The vision was granted with that Zeus ult.
That was so unfortunate for the Bounty Hunter that the Zeus thought that he hit the Shadow Fiend with the Lightning Bolt, and Zeus might actually end up going down here with the haste rune on the Shadow Fiend. He actually ends up backing off. If he take too many pot shots from that tier 1 tower, though, he probably would have ended up going down. But the Zeus thought he hit the Shadow Fiend blind with the Lightning Bolt, and then he just throws out the Thunder God's Wrath, and then they end up, as you said, scouting out the fact that the Bounty Hunter was up there, and the Ancient Apparition just turns on him and ends up getting the kill. But this does create a lot of space down in the bottom lane. Earthshaker not able to sustain and ends up having to go back, and they lose their tier 1 tower because of it, thanks to level 3 over into the Nether Blast from the Pugna.
Yep, and now we start maxing ourselves some Plague Wards. Hell yeah. Alright, so when these fights do break out, my biggest concern is, will Pugna have... oh, he's going for 8th lanes. Oh, interesting. My question was going to be, will Pugna have a mechanism? Because usually Pugnas go for mech to heal, or to kite the fact that they have really crappy armor. So he doesn't seem to be going for that at all. I guess when you have a Dazzler, you don't really need a mech, but it's always good to have one anyway. So, I mean, Pugna can afford it.
He's got a bit of a built-in mech. If Zeus had his ultimate again, this bounty hunter would have been dead a second time. As soon as he walks into sentry ward range and reveals himself from invisibility, then the Zeus is just absolutely crushing him with level 4 over into lightning bolt. Takes over like half of his HP pool with just one lightning bolt. And it's going to be pretty scary for this bounty hunter, but he has managed to accrue level 3. He needs to find that level 6, though, in a timely manner, because we're already at the 7-minute and 30-second mark, and he's still level 3. If that's what we kind of talked about during the draft, and whenever we're in that pause, is that if we get to that 10 to 12-minute mark, and he's still not level 6, it's going to be pretty disastrous for the side of Planet Hype.
Yeah, I mean, and all things said and done, he doesn't actually have, like, I mean, it's not like, oh my gosh, the game is over. It's more like, yeah, the game would go a lot better if you were level 6 by this point in time. But considering the fact that Bounty's spending this much time roaming around, you have to consider what has it benefited you so far. So they were able to harass up top, but he did lose the first blood. They were not able to kill a courier just yet, which is one of the kind of expected things nowadays.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He actually hasn't tried to prioritize that whatsoever, going for the courier kill whenever we were bringing the bottle out to the Zeus at the start of the game. He didn't try to achieve that at all. And
but it's his bottom lane.
Earthshakers just cannot man mode up against, especially now that the Shadow Fiend is down here on top of it too. He is going to need some kind of rotation from the rest of his allies in order to be able to make sure that this tier 2 tower doesn't end up going down if they do decide to stick around for it.
And OD at the top, I mean, it looks like they traded pretty much uncontested farm for making sure that Pugna can continue his push. And if Pugna can keep his push up, then they're going to be good. Because if they can choke out Stallion's lineup, then Earthshake will never get a Blink Dagger, he'll never be a threat, Vengeful Spirit will never get her items, she actually might be dying here in a second. Oh no! The fog! Looks like they're going to go for some more damage. If Bounty was level 6 right now, it would be a very, very, very good kill, but unfortunately he wasn't. Meanwhile, Earthshaker takes some damage, more stuff happening, and they all just kind of casually back away.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. They could have maybe even taken down the Earthshaker too if that life drain hadn't gotten fogged, as you said. If they could have been able to get the kill a little bit more efficiently over on the Vengeful Spirit, they could have turned their attention over to that Earthshaker. But unfortunately, it's the Earthshaker ends up, or the VS ends up going down. They have to rotate down the Ancient Apparition, and this is leaving a lot of space in the mid lane for the Shadow Fiend to just kind of do what he wants. Start pushing this tier 1 tower, which he's already getting down to around half of its HP pool.
And Bounty's level 3 right now. We're about to see Zeus get rotated on pretty darn hard. He's actually walking into the trees. Faces Void, Chronosphere is available. Gonna go ahead and drop it here in a second. Does get it. And Shadow Fiend's come around the corner. He's gonna be a little bit out of range to actually get a few right clicks, but he does get 2 rises. Sadly, they don't go through. Meanwhile, Zeus drops the ulti. Faces Void immediately going down. Bounty Hunter will be the last one to go. It looks like Shadow Fiend, will he get the kill? OD's gonna give himself some nice kills though. Triple kill for him.
Oh my god.
The most disastrous fight you can ever have in that. I was kind of thinking PH had it, but when I think what happens, Bounty went invis while Zeus was there, and Zeus was like, okay, I need to run towards my tower, and then OD responded with a TP.
You know what the cherry on top of that was? Is that they also kill Radiant's courier on top of it too.
Ah, man.
So I thought that was going to be not as successful for the side of the Irresistible Stallions, because the Outward Devoured actually Astral imprisoned I think it was the Shadow Fiend from taking any damage from the Thunder God's Wrath. So there was a big chunk of damage that didn't get dealt out over to that SF, and it still did not matter just because the Zeus was able to burst him down with a Lightning Bolt in combination with the Arcane Orbs. He'd gotten so many auto attacks off with the Arcane Orbs that the int that he had stolen just way too much for the Shadow Fiend to deal with that pure damage.
Right, so let's go and Faces Void, he's level 6 right now, or level 7 right now, so that's pretty good. Vengeful Spirit's around the corner. I don't know if they're trying to go for a kill, or... Oh, yeah, they're trying to go for a kill. Faces Void, he's gonna be a little bit of trouble. Astral's ready. Nothing to be there. Dang.
Yeah, nice time walk from him. The last time he went for that, and there's a Boots of Speed on the ground. Whose is that? That was Zeus's boots that the Bounty Hunter just picked up. So I'll go ahead and check out the net worth chart, since that's one of the clownier freaking things that I've seen so far in jDL. But that is a bit of a swing, and Pugna gets blown the hell up by this Zeus right now, and they want more as the Fissure's going to come out from the Earthshaker. Dazzle's going to end up using a self-grave on himself. I don't think it's going to be able to save him from the harm's way that's going to the face of the Radiant right now, and unfortunately it doesn't look like they're going to be able to parlay that into a tier 1 tower, but they managed to clean up the carry Pugna as well as that support Dazzle.
Alright, and now we're starting to get into a little bit of a questionable moment. So, Pugna's thing is, if Pugna can... Oh, wow, Bounty gets blown
Bounty.
up. Yeah, Pugna's thing is, if Pugna can get his push going and just, like, suffocate you with the amount of push they can do, then his team will do well. But of course, Stallion aren't going to just sit back and let him get all the kills, get all the tower pickoffs. So, it's extremely important that Pugna gets his Plague Ward off, or Nether Ward off, otherwise his death went to waste. And last fight, he didn't even have a chance to get it off.
And there's actually a Blink Dagger picked up on the Outward Devourer now too. So
Oh.
Zeus has already picked up another set of boots of speed on top of it. I don't know how that happened. That must have been from the courier exchange earlier.
Just,
I don't know.
Just disassemble his boots into Aetherlands.
Yeah, but he was like walking around them. I don't know if Bounty just like walked into it and grabbed him, but he was focused, like surrounded by his allies. They're looking to pressure this tier 2 tower right now. With the Shadow Fiend already killing most of the creep wave, it's gonna be pretty difficult for the side of the Irresistible Stallions without the Zeus ulti to do necessary damage. He does end up getting a little bit of damage from the Satire Tormentor, and they actually pull the creep wave over there too. And it's actually going to be the Dazzle gets caught out of position. There is going to be a Chronosphere from the Faceless Void, creating enough space for him to get the Shallow Grave off. Now the Shadow Wave is going to be able to heal him up momentarily. With a nice Astral Imprisonment coming out from the OD, and it allows him to clean up the Dazzle on the back end of that engagement, but Zeus has already been taken down on top of that too. And the Pugna is still around, looking to maybe potentially take down this tier 2 tower, since there is a pretty low mana pool over on this Earthshaker with no Soul Ring for another few seconds.
And like the more we watch this game, the more I'm remembering. Okay, that's why you get a mechas on Pugna. Okay, so his armor's pretty crap, we know this, but the burst heal is also really nice. So take the last fight where he got blown up pretty much immediately. If he would have had the reactions, which I think he would have, to drop himself a mechanism, he would have been able to heal up. And in this fight just now, we saw one fissure plus maybe a right click, took him down to basically half HP. So Pugna has 0 stats. Like, this is 0 stat gaming right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even a casual bracer at the moment would be pretty beneficial for him. Just so it would give enough time for maybe even the Dazzle to get a Shallow Grave off on him. Like, Dazzle didn't even have enough time to react to that in order to try to save the Pugna and end up just expending it on himself. But Bounty Hunter is still level 5. Granted, the Ancient Apparition as well as the VS are also pretty low leveled at the moment. So as long as he can maintain that, then it'll be pretty big.
Ooh, Pugna, no! Pugna gets blown up. He goes down. Dazzle not even gets Shallow Grave off. And yeah, Pugna needs. I think Pugna's trying to be greedy and get an Ags, but I mean, I think he needs to get some stats. Anyway, speaking of getting some stats, we got Bounty Hunter getting caught with the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast. OD going all in. This will be a dead Bounty Hunter in a few seconds. Meanwhile, Astral Imprisonment falls on top of whoever that was, and it looks like they're going to be dead here. They're going to no longer exist. Shadow Fiend gets no ulti off. Triple kill for the Zeus. The fights continue to go worse and worse in Planet Hype's lineup. I mean, I think they're doing the right thing. They're just not building the right things yet. Like, Pugna needs more HP.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is like a pre-rehearsed lineup that they kind of run, like a practice lineup that they know, oh, OD gets picked up, we're going to pick Pugna, or if they kind of thought that, oh, we found ourselves in a tough spot before, so we're going to just pick him up because we know it counters him well, and they are going to try to get a kill on the VS up in the top lane.
No.
So be able to use the time dilation to slow him down momentarily. Time walks forward, but there's going to be a nice Astral Imprisonment from the OD. Earthshaker's going to be able to pop out the Echo Slam. There's going to be a Chronosphere, but it's not going to be able to catch out the OD until he ends up walking to it himself, and thanks to that tier 1 tower, they are going to be able to clean up that Faceless Void, and Pugna might end up paying for the sins of his friend as he finds himself out of position with Zeus as well as a Blink Dagger Outward Devourer chasing after him, and it's going to be a dominating streak coming out for that Zeus as 3 heroes go down only in exchange for a Vengeful Spirit.
Alright, and also they want to switch to net worth, so just hit the Y key. But also, moving on from all that, I mean, we can talk about the beauty of OD's Blink Dagger now. So he's able to do the thing that Spirit Breaker and Darkseer are able to do, which is basically run into Pugna's face and punch him a few times. So having the Blink Dagger on OD is a really nice pickup. Having the Dragonlance makes OD more survivable because it gives him more HP, more attack speed, and more range. And now that he has a Blink Dagger, he can blink in there and just say, "Yo, dog, I heard you like Pugna. Let me go ahead and kill him for you."
Yeah, Irresistible Stallions were listening to me about how much I hated Pugna before, and they're showing him a little bit of extra love in this one, and he's actually getting pretty close to having his BKB completed as well on top of it too. Only needs about another, looks like another 1900 gold, and actually Ancient Apparition is going to be able to get a kill, and this Bounty Hunter is still level 5, still not having a very good time right now, as Brian is just constantly finding himself being scouted out by this Zeus, who now has a Veil of Discord, so this Pugna, as well as the Bounty Hunter, are going to get blown up even more quickly than they were before.
And all things considered, I mean, the Bounty Hunter pick is my only question mark. Like I think their lineup would work well if they had somebody else as a support. Like, yeah, sure, we can, hindsight's 20/20, sure, the game's happened, I didn't call it before, whatever, say whatever you want. But the main thing is that Bounty Hunter's not really contributing a ton to his team until he hits level 6, and because of that, they need to either absolutely get him to level 6 now, or forever hold their peace, or they need to have a better support who's more impactful. Somebody like a Lich who can actually throw an ulti and help get a kill, and somebody like a Witch Doctor who I think was still in the pool. He might have got banned out, but somebody like him who can pair up with the Faceless Void. Somebody who can have an impact on the game, basically.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and it's not looking good for him. One way that they could have tried to counteract that is just stacking for the Shadow Fiend in the jungle. I understand that, like, stacking got nerfed pretty significantly, but being able to just not only give a burst of farm over to the SF, even if he has to eat through a bunch of his mana pool to do so, but you can feed some of that EXP over to the Bounty Hunter and ensure that he gets timing level 6, so they don't find themselves in the position that they are in right now, where he is just getting blown up way too constantly. He's 1-6
Oh, Faceless Void. Faceless Void comes forward. They're going to go for the kill on top of OD. OD's going to be a very valuable kill. Hasn't died at all. They need to hurry up and kill him, though. He does go down. The Plague Ward, or Nether Ward, is going to be able to do enough to help him get the kill. Meanwhile, TP rotations come around the backside. Prince of Spirit and crew going to try to bait him out. Dazzle, only one call inside the ulti. Meanwhile, Faceless... Oh, wow. Jesus. Shadow Fiend in the face of the Vengeful Spirit. Going to smack her down. Yeah, this is all... This is all what PH need right now. Bounty Hunter's finally level 6. We had a track kill in the last one. This is exactly what they want.
Yeah, it's about a surprise. Just that one kill. The fight recap doesn't even show the kill over on the Outward Devour, but it was almost a 900 gold swing just from killing the 5-roll Vengeful Spirit for the side of Irresistible Stallions, and they have the potential to turn this into a tier 2 tower as well, as OD is going to be on the sideline for another 12 seconds. There's a buyback available, but I think they're going to expend it for this one, as they don't even have...
Nope. They're going to save it.
Yeah, they'll definitely save it. And the Zeus still is going to end up expending that Veil of Discord and do a bunch of burst damage over on that Faceless Void, but Time Walk is his most favorite ally and able to get away from that. And you see the little cheeky Decrepify over onto the Siege camp. Siege creep.
Zeus! Oh, Zeus doesn't have a lot of mana. He gets tracked up too. Faceless Void's around the corner. Will they go for it? I don't know. Tell me more.
Well, it looks like they're looking to try to initiate as the second Veil of Discord is going to come out, but there is going to be a huge Echo Slam, actually. And Ancient Apparition is going to throw the Ice Blast out, and it's going to connect on top of the Zeus ultimate, and they've already killed up the Pugna as well as the Bounty Hunter, and they're on the go for more, as it looks like the Shadow Fiend is going to end up getting Astral Imprisoned right now. No mana over for this Earthshaker for another 6 seconds, but it doesn't matter, as they're going to be able to get the body blocks as well as the damage output from the Outward Devour and the Zeus, and OD is going to be able to get the kill over on that SF as 3 end up going down. And the Earthshaker actually ends up getting away with under 100 HP.
And he was actually trying to toss the Fissure to stop the TP, but just one or two steps forward would have put him within enough hammer units to do it. But unfortunately, he didn't get there. So
definitely not very good for the side of Planet Hype right now. I think that they need to rely momentarily, at least. I mean, you think about their lineup at the moment that you want to be pushing with the Pugna, you want to be able to get big team fight ultimates off with the Chronosphere from Faceless Void, but they need to just focus on getting a few pickoffs and taking these uneven engagements and just starting to accrue the track gold that the Bounty Hunter is capable of giving them. Right now, they're not really utilizing him too much outside of like 1 or 2 tracks before the fight breaks out.
And what makes it worse is with Bounty Hunter, it doesn't matter how your team's doing. That Ice Blast though.
3-man Ice Blast.
But anyway, with the team with the Bounty Hunter, of course you can never count them out because Bounty Hunter track gold OP, please nerf. But when Bounty Hunter comes into play, if you can keep the kill count even, like 18-18, then your team is winning. The team with Bounty Hunter is absolutely winning every single time. And actually no, it's almost always that team is winning. So the fact that PH are down by this much, but the goal graph is this close, kind of tells you the story, or kind of tells you that story, because the goal graph is only about 1.5k in favor of Stallion.
Yeah,
and
which is incredibly surprising for how far ahead this Outward Devour and Zeus are right now.
Correct, but still a lot needs to be said about the fact that they still have almost all the towers on the side of PH. So those like sit in money bags. So if you balance out the tower gold, I mean they're down 4 towers. On Stallion, they're down 1 tower, so it's 3 tower difference. So that's 3k gold 3k gold plus what they have already.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Pugna is doing at least what he's supposed to do at the early portion of the game and taking down these outer tier towers, try to choke out the side of Irresistible Stallions from having any kind of map control so that they don't have the availability of farming up the rest of their heroes. And then not only do you stifle their farm in the jungle as well as around the map, but then also even getting uneven exchanges in these team fights is going to come out in the favor of the side of the team with Bounty Hunter.
But the kill count. Oh, hold on. Before we talk about that, Earthshaker might get caught up. He's going to be taking some big damage. Zeus actually comes in. He drops a Veil, drops the ulti. Bounty Hunter immediately blown up. Meanwhile, Shadow Fiend somehow still alive. Shallow Grave a little bit too strong. The damage from Earthshaker coming through. He gets himself a kill on top of Shadow Fiend. Surprise, bro. And surprisingly, nobody died in that fight.
Yeah, Irresistible Stallions keep barely, like, this Earthshaker has gotten away with under 100 HP in 2 different teamfight engagements now. It's created enough space that he's been able to pick up a Blink Dagger as well as a Force Staff at 21 minutes in, and it's 21-7 in favor of Irresistible Stallions, and this gold graph, as we were talking about previously before that fight broke out, is just really not swinging too significantly in their favor, even though they're not getting the kills with the Bounty Hunter during any of these engagements.
And like all said and done, like I mean, the lineup for PH are really reliant on Pugna's Netherward. I keep mentioning because it's very important. It's like extremely important for Pugna to get that Netherward down. Considering the fact that Zeus dropped his ult, Earthshaker dropped his ult, OD dropped his ult. If those ultis were dropped while that Netherward was down, that'd have been at least 2 people dead.
Yeah, I do like the pickup of the Blink Dagger for the Zeus as well on top of it, too. It's just going to provide him for the maneuverability that we saw the Zeus for the side of Planet Hype did not have in game number 1. Just instantly taking away 3/4 of the Bounty Hunter's HP pool. Actually has to use the Shallow Grave. There is going to be a Chronosphere over on the Outward Devour, though. Nice Nether Swap coming out from the VS is going to be able to save him momentarily, but the Ice Blast comes through. We'll be able to connect over onto that Faceless Void. No Time Walk available for you, and it looks like the Outward Devour will end up getting Astral Imprisonment off over onto the Shadow Fiend.
Plague Ward.
He's in a lot of trouble. The Nether Ward might be able to do some damage if they manage to get it down. You're going to be able to suck off that Shadow Fiend and give him some HP. Oh, poor Bounty Hunter. Zeus just throws out the casual Thunder God's Wrath that manages to get the kill on him. And he just survived. He survived so long during that for how low he was at the beginning of the team fight. But again, they don't end up getting any kills in the favor of the side of Planet Hype.
And Pugna did use his ult to heal up the Shadow Fiend for a few moments, and I think that was the difference between 2 people dying, or 1 person dying versus 2 people dying.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. And Earthshaker, solo versus Pugna. Earthshaker got the control. He will expend the ulti here in a second. Actually, nope, never mind. His ulti on cooldown.
Yeah, ultis, if he were to try to go for that about 6 seconds later, he might have been a little bit more effective at it, but the Glimmer Cape from Pugna is also going to play a pretty big factor in that. He would have had to have the perfect chain stun lockdown in order to accomplish that, but this tier 2 tower is definitely going to be going down up in the top lane. No Glyph of Fortification available for the side of Planet Hype, and they don't really have any kind of response for it outside since the Shadow Fiend is just going to be coming back from the dead. Or he's actually inside the jungle farming. Sorry, that was the, who was it? The Pugna going back to heal.
And the towers are almost even, and we just take a peek at the gold graph once again, and see it's almost about almost a 10k? Is that 10k?
It's right around 7,500.
Yes, it's about a 7,500 advantage in favor of Stallion. So there's still 1 tower left to make it match point, so to speak, with towers. So that's about an 8.5k advantage in favor of Stallion so far, and their XP is sitting pretty nice as well. Like let's not forget about the XP. Them support levels though.
Yeah, Irresistible Stallions has to be feeling pretty good about their position right now, as the Outward Devour is just going to casually throw out Astral Imprisonments to keep the ES from farming, but he's going to blink forward and gets a big fissure off, is able to connect off.
And Pugna's going to die, He just got hit with a nice ability. Oh, sorry, that was a Dazzle, my bad. I saw Glimmer Cape, I thought Pugna had it. Apparently Dazzle has a Glimmer Cape too.
Yeah, this is going to probably end up resulting in a tier 1 tower on top of it as well. And, I mean, this is the issue. You can lose 2 or 3 heroes for the side of Planet Hype. As long as you're getting 1 or 2 track kills from the Bounty Hunter, then you're actually going to end up coming out ahead for the most part, especially with how far you are behind in net worth right now. But it looks like Pugna might end up going down here, as he ends up going to have a Fissure as well as a Lightning Bolt. And here comes the Ice Blast from the Ancient Apparition. Is it going to be able to connect? It does! This is going to be a very dead Pugna. He's not going to be able to heal back up over inside the well.
Oh, you're
have
right.
to wait out these ticks. Oh, on the footsteps of safety. Ends up getting killed. And that's going to be another kill in the pocket of the Killing Spree Ancient Apparition. That is a very deadly snowball that he's creating there.
Yes, and speaking of snowballing, I mean, like the supports can afford this many Sentry Wards mid. Like, this is an absurd amount of Sentry Wards. Who needs a gym when you have 3 Sentry Wards?
Really no love for the Bounty Hunter right now.
Nah. Hashtag no respect. BKB coming up, or fully finished up on ODs. He seems to care to bring it out to him. Zeus is working on a Tornado Stick, has Boosted Travels available. Vengeful Spirit has an 8th Lens. Earthshaker has a Blink Dagger. Force Staff. I mean, the items are looking fantastic for Stallion. And considering the fact that PH had the Bounty is trying to build a mech, which I'm still of the volition that should have been on Pugna. I think Glimmer Cape, or mech over Glimmer Cape all day.
I just like that he's kept the Boots of Speed in his inventory, like, as kind of like a at least I've done this. Like, screw you guys. These are my boots. But yeah, I'm not really sure what items can come out for the side of Planet Hype that are going to allow them to try to start accelerating past Irresistible Stallions. And Zeus is going to try to scout out that Bounty Hunter again, but he's going to be a little bit off the mark with that Lightning Bolt. But either way, I mean, you think about the items that they could potentially come out with, even if they get an Agnum Scepter over on the Faceless Void, if they even if you get that BKB completed over on the Shadow Fiend, he's still going to have a pretty difficult time with the right clicks of the Outworld Devour. So it's...
It makes him way more apt to go toe-to-toe with him, because at this specific moment, if Shadow Fiend can't take down OD, then the PH have no damage. Because Pugna, I mean, Faceless Void, he's not hitting at all. Pugna, all his damage is magic, so BKB will counter him completely, and then Bounty Hunter, well, Bounty Hunter.
Oh, Shadow Fiend, you're so dead. Oh, that Ice Blast. Earthshaker was just baiting him so hard up there in the top lane. He took the tier 2 tower out and then just kind of tried to throw some right clicks out over on the Earthshakers, just going back and forth. But it created enough time for that Ancient Apparition to get the Ice Blast out, and Zeus even comes in with the Thunder God's Wrath in order to make sure that he definitely ends up dying. But he does have buyback. It's going to be difficult for them in this, as you see the Pugna. I mean, you talked about the armor, but not even having an HP pool to work with is so devastating against this Zeus right now with that Veil of Discord.
Yeah. I mean, Veil of Discord reduces your magic resist by 25%, so that basically means that his ult, or his lightning bolt hits for actually 350, because everybody has a built-in 25% magic resist by default.
Right.
So that means Pugna, if you take 350 away from Pugna, that's basically 1/3 of his HP. So
he also has Glimmer Cape though, so he's going to be able to stifle that a little bit X. So he's 35% magic reduction. So I'm not even going to try to do the math on that, because
I mean,
we've got games to cast. But if you want to bust your calculator out, by all means, go for it.
Well, no, like we can do the math easy. So if he'll basically have 15% by the time the Veil of Discord is done with him. So 15% reduction on 350 is 15 times 3.
So 45.
Yep. So 45 plus plus or minus 7, whatever. So that's how much he's getting reduced, which is not a lot. So he's still feeling 300 damage. I mean, Pugna only has 900 HP to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's almost a pretty moot point as far as to how much extra bonus damage he's getting.
Oh, the Earthshaker though!
Oh, he might end up going down 4 staff away. Nice fissure, keeping him locked out, and doesn't look like they're going to be able to pursue that any further. They did have the Time Walk from the Faceless Void, and they wanted to try to drop the Chronosphere on him, but they need to get something in this next teamfight engagement.
Now, speaking of Chronosphere, if Faceless Void had a Blink Dagger, they might be able to get better fights, but he needs to get the gold for it. I don't know if Aghanim Scepter is the right item right now. Like, Chronosphere, Blink Dagger is definitely more important. Because there have been a few times, like we just saw, where Earthshaker could have easily died if Faceless Void could have gotten in position faster to drop a Chrono. Even if it's a solo Chrono for Earthshaker, it's a kill that your team needs.
Yeah, I mean, any track kill at this point in time is going to be astronomically huge for the side of Planet Hype. You know, normally it's a pretty big deal, but with how far they are behind, I mean, we're looking at the net worth graph right now, almost about 10,000 net worth behind. It's going to be worth track gold plus a lot more than it normally is, and this Earthshaker has not died in a while, too, on top of it, so his net worth has been accruing.
And Pugna finally has a Drum of Endurance, which is a great item on Pugna. Makes him more speedy, makes him more survivable, gives him more mana pool. So it's a really good item for him to have overall. But he can finally tank. He might be able to survive a team fight now.
That's questionable. No, it is. I mean, we mentioned it during the laning phase that even picking up a casual bracer for him would have been good. Drums of Endurance is just taking that to the next step, as you were talking about. Just gives him a little bit more extra mana pool on top of it too. But Zeus is sitting up on the high ground. He's looking to try to get something going.
Yeah, Earthshaker, Blink Dagger at the ready. Oh man, Earthshaker's working on a sheepstick. That's never good when Earthshaker's working on a sheepstick this early in the game.
Yeah.
Wow. He just disappeared.
I feel so bad for Brian, man. I
mean, he stole them boots, damn it.
Yeah, he still has the boots. When he goes home, he can still call mom and tell him that he stole Zeus's boots. But they're just setting up to keep doing this. Earthshaker didn't even have to expend the Echo Slam. Now he does. No follow-up damage, though, because there's a little bit of miscoordination with the Outworld Devour, Astral Imprison. But here comes the Ice Blast. BKB, as well as the Requiem of Souls, is going to be activated by the Shadow Fiend. But he walks right into the Chronosphere that only kept the Vengeful Spirit locked down after that Nether Swap. And now Faceless Void can end up paying for it with his life. They don't have the Bounty Hunter up until now that he's just respawned, so no track kills coming out on that VS. And they want more as they end up cleaning up the Dazzle on top of it, and Brian might just end up coming back out to the lane to sacrifice his life again.
He gets a trap.
So bad for Brian.
I mean,
he put the boots down. He feels just as strongly about them as we thought he did, I guess.
It's like, I took your boots, bro. What? Come at me.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace for the side of Planet Hype. There's some like hostage negotiating stuff going on, and we've got the Russian Stasi over there that are just like, we're not going to negotiate with terrorists.
He will kill the boots. Oh, he's playing with them. So Bounty's in invis right now. He needs to be careful though, because Zeus can still blink on him. I think yeah, Zeus is pinging it. Oh, they want it. It's boots.
They know. I want to see him drop something in order to be able to pick it up. Oh, Dazzle just getting bursted down so quickly by just a couple arcane orbs from the Outward Devour, and he's going to end up being able to get the kill with the Astral Imprisonment.
You know, Plague War finally doing some work, but it's a little bit too late. Now Pugna actually gets a good ulti off. Zeus is going to be caught in the tornado, taking a little bit of damage. He will be able to blink out of here, though. And that's about as good as a fight as we've seen. And I still attribute a lot of these fights to the fact that Nether Ward is so good, but you have to actually be there for the fight and use it. And there was like at least 2 fights where I called like Pugna's on the other side of the map farming, which is fine. That means his team shouldn't fight, but they're fighting, so he needs to be there.
Yeah, this gold graph. I mean, you can just tell how non-impactful this. Oh man, VS actually got caught out. I was watching the Outward Devour Astral Imprison his ally again. So they do finally manage to get themselves a track kill. That one track kill on the VS is worth almost 1,500 gold though. So think about it, they're getting a couple kills off. This, you know, the net worth graph is sitting around almost 18,000 at the moment, but you win 2 or 3 fights where you're getting that track gold out, you're suddenly back in it as Planet Hype.
Yeah, but I mean that requires Bounty to get like more HP, because let's be completely honest, Bounty's getting blown up so fast that he can't even get a track off. So
he's got a cloak. That's a start.
A cloak reduces magic damage by what, 15%? If you reduce 100 by 15, that's 15 extra HP you have. If you reduce 5,000 by 15, that's like a lot, but he doesn't have that much HP to begin with.
Yeah, he might be able to stop him from dying to a fissure and a lightning bolt combination, hopefully.
Like actually mathing this out, Earthshaker's fissure does 260, Zeus's lightning bolt does 350, and then let's say he follows up with his ulti too, so that's 640. Yeah, no, there's no way Bounty can survive that.
Yeah, he's in a pretty rough. He needs to start picking up like a bracer or something like that. The cloak isn't going to be able to cut it. The mechanism, as you talked about, probably would have been able. I mean, he has 20 armor, so like the right clicks wouldn't be doing much, but there's not many right clicks. But there might be an engagement here. Aces Void just gets stunned up immediately. Astral Imprison. They're spreading out. Irresistible Stallions is ready for this fight. There's going to be another ward dropped up onto the high ground and a defensive time walk coming out from this Faceless Void, able to save his life, but not before Roshan ends up going down. And they put the Aegis Immortality over in the pockets of Outward Devour, who has a freshly picked up Octarine Core on top of all the other items that he's already purchased.
Yeah.
So this is pretty scary for the side of Planet Hype. They haven't broken too much of their base apart quite yet. They only took out that tier 3 tower in the middle lane, but you know, it's really just Irresistible Stallions kind of playing with their food at this point.
And Zeus has an Octarine Core coming to him. I mean, yeah. It's a matter of the idea from PH was fantastic. It's just the timing. Timing is what killed him. If Bounty was level 6 when their team fights were breaking out and they were doing okay with the team fights, then they can get that gold advantage to start running away with it. But in the event that you can't get Bounty Hunter level 6 fast enough, and in the event that it's not paying off, like you don't... Their lineup, like if they had something like a Magnus or somebody who has HP, just in general, somebody who has HP, then this might have worked out for him, but...
Oh,
Bounty plus Pugna.
Brian is going so ham right now. He's gonna die for it. This Ancient Apparition has a gem of True Sight, and he was just kind of chasing after him well on the opposite side of the map of anywhere where he needed to be, and ends up dying because of it. But I guess they have vision of the Ancient Apparition now for a while.
Yeah, what makes it worse is when Zeus dropped the ulti, they ping the wards, because for anybody who doesn't know, when Zeus drops his ulti, you get to see everything, including wards. So I think, yeah, they pinged this ward, so they're going to kill it. And then I think they saw this one over here too, so they'll kill it. So no vision at all for PH, just to make it worse.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Their lineup is just not suited to kind of deal with this situation. They're meant to be on the aggressive side with this Pugna pick, making sure that the Outward Devourer is a little bit scared to be getting involved in these teamfight engagements, and he is just so fat at the moment that it's not really much of a concern for him.
Yep, and now Faceless Void walks into the ulti of the Ancient Apparition. BKB gets popped by Shadow Fiend though. He might be able to do something. And he farms creeps. Got it.
Oh, he might end up dying without it. Once it wears off, now Dazzle's going to be there. He had to pop that BKB though, just because of the sheer amount of damage that the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, as well as a Lightning Bolt from Zeus did. If Zeus would have ultied before that BKB went off, that's a dead Shadow Fiend most likely.
And for everybody out there who thinks this is why you don't pick an OD, or this is why you don't pick a Pugna in an actual game, this is not a a good representation of what Pugna can do. The only reason why I say is because the lineup behind Pugna is not strong enough to survive. Like, they have no frontliner. Faceless Void can jump in there, but he'll die. Everybody knows he's gonna die.
He's going to be able to get a Chrono Spear off, but this Vengeful Spirit has been on point the entire time, as well as this Earthshaker getting a huge Echo Slam off, able to clean up that Shadow Fiend, and it looks like Pugna as well as the Faceless Void are going to end up dropping afterwards to that Sanity's Eclipse in combination with the Lightning Bolts from Zeus. They have buyback on the Dazzle, but it doesn't look like he wants to expend it right now, as it's only going to be Pugna as well as the Shadow Fiend going toe-to-toe with the entirety of Irresistible Stallions. Crepify not going to be available anymore as he's already used it over onto the Zeus, dropping him pretty low, and Pugna's going to get cleaned up by the OD. He came in for the backlines with that Blink Dagger, and GG well played is going to end up being called 37 minutes and 18 seconds into this one, 39-9, and about a 21,000 net worth advantage for Irresistible Stallions before everything's done.
Yes, 939, 939.
And MVP of the game, Brian with the boot steal, for certain.
Yeah, we can call him MVP, but like seriously though, all joking aside, the lineup for PH, I mean, it in theory Pugna's good versus everybody, but I'm still like super against the Bounty Hunter pickup. Like I do not agree with that pickup at all.
I'm 100% with you. Both games really. The Bounty Hunter just what did they second pick the Bounty Hunter in game number 1. What did they pick it third or fourth?
They picked it third, which is, I mean, at the time it was like, you know, Ancient Apparition and OD. It was like, okay, cool, we might be able to do something with this. You know, Bounty Hunter gets a pick off for 2 on top of Ancient Apparition. But then they followed it up with Shadow Fiend, who's like super flimsy. And then they followed it up with a Dazzle, who's great at keeping people alive, but they're all gonna be dead, bro. And it's like,
feels bad, man. But yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I had mentioned before that you could have done any number of things in order to make sure that the Bounty Hunter got the levels necessary that he needed.
Because, oh yeah, definitely.
You know, once he gets track up, now all of a sudden you're a little bit more worried as Irresistible Stallions to like be roaming around the map and taking fights. But when you're 13 or 15 minutes into the game and it's still level 4, level 5 Bounty Hunter, you're gonna just start taking fights as often as you can while you're still able to. Yeah. And you know, that's kind of the issue. If they would have had the Shadow Fiend having stacks or camp stack for him by the support Dazzle, or even having the Pugna rotate through in order to try to get some pushes going with that Shadow Fiend and stacking camps in the jungle on top of it as well. I mean, even Bounty Hunter could have been more efficient stacking camps inside the jungle instead of sitting in the middle lane trying to go up against that Zeus and Vengeful Spirit. But you know, any number of things could have allowed that Bounty Hunter to get experience a little bit earlier on, and just did not really work out for the side of Planet Hype.
And one other thing to mention to you about the current meta is like one thing I don't know when it happened, but people started playing Bounty Hunter as a support, a 4-position support. I guess it's always a thing he could do. That's fine. But I'm like of the super like hardcore belief that Bounty Hunter needs levels. If you get him level 6, then get him out of lane. Sure, that's fine. But he needs level 6. So I like Bounty Hunter off lane still. It's not as good as it used to be, I agree, because he can't really be as effective, and jDOTA crits are really strong at level 4, but if you don't have your level 6 to actually do anything, then you don't really do anything. And the whole dual Bounty Hunter mid thing, where he spends like 7 hours staying at level 5, basically an Ancient Apparition, it's like you're not.
I mean, you made a really good point, too, during the match, was that the Bounty Hunter didn't even, either in match number 1 or 2, he never even went for, like, a courier snipe or anything like that. Like, you look at the upper echelons of Bounty Hunter players, and they're dropping an Observer Ward in between the Tier 1 and the Tier 2, or back by the Tier 3, just so we can see that courier coming out, and he can try to go for a snipe on it. But he really was focused, as you were just talking about just, like, sitting in the mid lane, trying to harass the Zeus. And you also are going up against a hero that is capable of revealing you when you're there, like not even intentionally. Like, you can just accidentally reveal that you're there, and all of a sudden, like, you've just wasted X amount of time sitting in the mid lane trying to set something up, and your entire plan is foiled because you tried to CS with a lightning bolt.
Right, and as far, I mean, and just one last thing to mention, because some people in the chat are giving me a little bit of flack for it. I keep saying Pugna is good versus everybody. What I mean by that is Pugna is a good idea on paper versus people with big ultis that cost a lot of mana, like Earthshaker, Zeus, OD, Ancient Apparition, everybody with the exception of Vengeful Spirit. So in general, Pugna should have worked out, especially versus the OD, but their lineup surrounding Pugna wasn't enough. Like they needed a Dragon Knight. For all that I hate to say that, they needed a Dragon Knight, for God's sakes, because that might have worked out a little bit better.
There's any number of things they could have done differently to make this Pugna work out, but it's I think, as you're saying, it's pretty good, especially against the Outworn Devour, but as you're saying, you need to have the lineup in order to kind of back it up on top of it. And the only person they really had suited for that was the Faceless Void for the most part. Shadow Fiend to some extent, but really the Bounty Hunter and the Dazzle aren't going to be there in order to try to facilitate that, what Pugna is trying to do around the map.
Yeah, and unless you go Blink Dagger, Vanguard, Faceless Void, which nobody likes doing that, you're not really going to be able to survive anything. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, that is going to do it for game number 2 of Irresistible Stallions versus Planet Hype. Game number 1 also went to Irresistible Stallions. Then my name is jDOTA. Join with me was Cool Blue for game number 2. I really appreciate you showing up, man. Made it a lot easier. I would have struggled so much through that like 20-minute pause period. Everyone who like stuck around and listened to us talk for like 20 minutes while they were trying to get the patch downloaded, as well as that epic pause and remake that they had afterwards too. Thanks so much for tuning in and sticking around for that. Blue, do you want to plug anything? Your Twitter, your interview that you did earlier?
yes, so if anybody wants to go check out my other stuff, I have a ton of different channels, but main one is if you want to check out more of my commentary, you can check out my YouTube, which is youtube.com/coolbluedota. That's CULBLUDOTA. And also I have my Twitch live stream, which I stream, and I'm still trying to convince Yaman to like co-cast with me.
This is the first time. I mean, we have a certain amount of games we have to fit in jDL, and I was on vacation for a week. I managed to get food poisoning while I was on vacation. Was on antibiotics for a week after that.
Excuses.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are. Whenever I'm like actually like physically crapping my pants and puking everywhere, I'm definitely making excuses.
Come on. The dream is, all right, everybody, team plus by the.
That's one way to make the front page of Reddit. If I just like straight up vomited in the middle of a cast,
that sounds gross.
I'm getting PTSD flashbacks from my public speaking classes at college now.
Gross. Okay, moving on. But yeah, I have my live stream, which is twitch.tv/coolblue. That's CULBLU. And I'm trying to convince Yaman to go co-cast with me every once in a while. So we're gonna try this whole co-casting thing out, see how it works.
Yeah, definitely enjoyable for this one. So thanks so much, Cool Blue, for joining with me. Make sure you go ahead and check out that Twitch page and the YouTube page that he just mentioned, as well as he just did an interview today with Llamas Down Under, so that'll be coming out on his YouTube page as well within the next 24 hours, I assume. So
actually, after this, I'm gonna publish it, but it's gonna be on a different channel. I have 3 different channels, guys. Just relax.
Busy guy. But yeah, so that's Casters Network, youtube.com/Casters Network, correct?
youtube.com/castnetyt. So CASNETYT. Y as in Yankee, T as in Tango.
Yeah. So go over there, check out the interview that he just did with Llamas Down Under, and make sure you tune in for any more broadcasts we do with the jDL. So go ahead and hit that follow button, and you'll make sure that you'll know whenever we go live with more broadcasts. But either way, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. That's going to do it for us tonight, and we'll probably be back tomorrow with some more jDL action.
Bye, guys.
Bye.